Good morning, Professor, and good morning to the 10 viewers I have on my YouTube channel. I know that this video is not like the videos I post, like gaming and such, but if you actually go through my YouTube channel, you'll find my Education 240 submission from 3 years ago. And I'm making this video and posting it, although I could have just recorded my voice on a PowerPoint because I feel like uh, making a video would make my submission and my project as a whole a lot more personal. So yeah, let me just make sure I'm sharing it right. Yep. So yeah, let's get started. So as a reminder, this will be my learning portfolio for Education 250. So we will be going through a few things. First is a couple of weekly reflections that I think are things that I would like to talk about, apart from from the person I presented about, and then the activity that I felt was a very good activity that we had in class, the walk and talk, and then our presentation, because I felt that I learned a lot through that presentation, and then just things I learned in general and a personal reflection of the entire semester for this course. So yeah, my first weekly reflection, the one I would like to talk about, was about Mary Wollstonecraft. The reason I chose this one, so this was actually the reflection that I had posted on Canvas, and I highlighted the parts that I felt were the most important. So what I felt was the most important was regarding how even though she could have lived a normal life like everyone else, and nobody would have blamed her for it at all because it was the norm at the time that she wouldn't have gotten an education, things like that, and not complain. Nobody would have blamed her for it at all. But even through that, she decided to push through and become one of uh, the strongest people that we learned about, who has an influence on feminism that continues up until today. So yeah, I felt that this was great. And another thing that caught my attention um, is how us as humans, we usually seek to find somebody to look up to. So I wrote the final project about my final assignment, the written assignment, on how religion, part of it was about how us as humans like to seek religion and it helps us find hope. So similarly with Mary Wollstonecraft, she didn't have that figure in her life early on to look up to, so she kept looking for that person until she found Fanny Blood. So that was also another thing that I felt was very inspirational. And then the next person was Rosseo. Hopefully, I'm pronouncing his name correctly. The thing that caught the most attention for me about him was that he was a self-learner. He did not get a formal education, which in today's time and even back at the time it's not like at the time during his time it was not like a mandatory thing to go for, but it definitely used to give a higher status to the person. Same as today in today's context. Uh, like, yeah, I realize that not everybody goes out to seek education, formal education, but it's still considered something that people love to have for different areas, whether it's learning in general, or status. In, for instance, in my culture, to get married, uh, perhaps sometimes they would ask to see if you were formally educated. And why I think this was something that caught my attention for him was that he was not, but disregarding that, he still became one of the greatest historians that we ever learned about. And another thing that also caught my attention was how he was sent to a pastor to get his ideas shaped, which is still something that does happen. Uh, Perhaps if you grew up in a religious household, your parents would want you to get influenced by the scholars of your religion. So I thought that, it's something to reflect on, given that he was in a very different time period, but it still goes on until today. So I thought this was eye-opening. And yeah, this is the biggest thing that I actually reflected on. is it not moving? Okay, and the next was the walk and talk, the walk and talk activities we have in class. The reason I felt like this is something I would like to present on is usually we used to get partnered with people that we don't sit next to. And in class, we sit next to the people that we feel most comfortable around, like we share some similar ideas or have anything in common. So getting partnered with different people that you don't usually sit next to was very good because and you get to see a very different side of you that could perhaps be unfamiliar to you. I remember in particular the walk and talk where we were discussing the embedding of religion in today's classroom. We had a few questions on it, and the girl that I was partnered up with, she went to a Catholic school, so we were talking about that. And I went to a school that valued Islamic values, so I was also sharing my thoughts on that. So it's very good in a sense that you get to hear and see other people's views that are not similar to you. So that's why I felt this particular activity in class was very, very nice. And then our presentation and the team spirit that we had. So for my team, we presented on Thomas Jefferson, and I thought it was a good presentation on our side, given that like we went a lot and discussed a lot about the things that we should put up and not put up there. And I put up a couple of things on the screen. So the Jefferson controversy. So this was the most topic we had discussed about during our team meetings, because we wanted to also showcase that it's not all like a good side of history. There are things that are unspoken about, and we wanted to make sure that we can cover that without offending anyone and without taking credit from Thomas Jefferson or anything. We just wanted to present it as an idea. So that was something that I felt was something that was good that we did. We reworded the things multiple times and made sure that when it was presented, it doesn't showcase it as something that is very negative, in a sense that makes the viewers just disregard our entire presentation and just dislike Thomas Jefferson, but we just wanted to present it as an idea to make them aware of what we're talking about. And the bonus question, this is also something that I felt like when we worked on, that question was different than the norms of other questions that we had and what other presentations had, because it's relatable to today's time, in a sense that majority of the people can relate to it and understand it very easily. So yeah, and the team spirit. The team spirit, I'd say our team actually grew a lot closer, specifically during the strike, because a lot of us didn't know if we should submit some stuff or if we shouldn't submit some stuff. So the communication during that time, it strengthened our team, and it created a good atmosphere for us to work on when we came to submit this project. So yeah, I felt that this was a great presentation in terms of information that we had, since we went over his introduction, his political life, and how that influenced his views on education. And yeah, and the next is the general learning. I know that this is not exactly part of this assignment, but I felt like this was important to talk about. General learning for me came into a form of speaking to the professor after a class. At one point, it went through over multiple, the entire classes, but there was one particular conversation that I reflected on afterwards, and I felt like, I learned a lot from it. It was regarding how not in Western countries, in non-Western countries like in Asia, Africa, and such, the picture we have of North Americans are usually doesn't include anyone. It's usually specific to a particular race. And I was told that it's because during the 1800s, a lot of issues happened that prevented people from Asia and other countries to come to Canada and the US. And this is why, until today, we hold that picture in some of these countries. So I felt like this was a very good eye-opening thing for me that I did not think of before. And in general, the class discussions that we had after the presentations, the discussions during the presentations, and what we share around in class. I know I like to hear people's views on things that go on around the world when they speak. So it's a different because it's a different kind of environment compared to my usual business courses where we're just focused on what is in the book, and that's about it. Nobody talks about what they think. It's just the book and the concepts in the book. This is more of a reflection and learning from others' experiences and seeing how you can apply it to your own experience. So I thought that this was also something worth noting. And the next one is the personal reflection on the class. Personal reflection for me, I would say that this class, I learned a lot from different people, as I mentioned, their views and such. And I learned a lot about different historians and motivations and influences that guided them through that guided them to reach their educational theories, and also understand some of the challenges that they went through, like Mary Wollstonecraft and several others. So it's important for me to reflect and understand that, you know, in order to be great and to be big enough to be thought about in a book about 400 to 500 years after your passing, you also have to go through a lot of challenges. No life is perfect. You have to push through, and yeah, and as I said, the through the strike and everything, the class had we had a lot of challenges, but thankfully we made it through. And the assignments, I really liked the final written essay, as well, as it gave me a lot of direction to work with. Thankfully, the topic I picked was not too narrow that I couldn't find information online, but I was also able to connect it back to the theories that we discussed in class and the theories that are in the book that are from the educational historians, or just connect similar experiences here and there, which was very eye-opening. So yeah, really hope you enjoyed watching this. And I will be posting the link to this video at the end of the slide deck that I'm sending. And I will also be sending an email to you, Professor, with the link. So yeah, thank you so much. And putting this video on YouTube to reflect on it, as I said, I hope I said it, for years to come. So then I'd have the Education 240 and Education 250 final projects on my YouTube channel. So thank you and have a nice day.